Welcome to another edition of Action 14. I'm Mike Briggs, bringing you information from the city to the schools and the arts. I have with me now Mayor Pullman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike. It's always a pleasure to be here and talk with our TV 14 viewers and try to give them some updates on what's going on in the city.
You've wrapped up, I think, the 2022 budget, so you're looking at next year already. You have wrapped it up. We have our numbers, and how does everything look?
Well, the bad news is that we're about 2% increase. That sounds like a lot. From the number standpoint, we didn't cut any services. Our wage increase is 2.75%. So coming in at 2%, we've made significant adjustments in order to keep it at 2%, even though, as everybody else has the same problem the city does, trying to pay our bills with higher prices, especially on fuel, on equipment. The city just approved last week a new end loader, $264,000. The price, we approved it actually last week instead of in the next year, because every month the price on that end loader goes up $10,000.
Isn't that something?
And it's just the cost of making it, the raw materials, everything else. We're having significant problems trying to hold the line on our contracts because they all want to renegotiate.
Right.
How do we renegotiate? We're approving a budget today. It's a real challenge, and hats off to Interim Director Austin and our utility manager, Kim Ross, because they, in 4 weeks, put a lot of time in it. Their staffs really came up and put a lot of time in, and we're very fortunate that we got it done, presented, published, and now we'll have the final vote the 23rd for approval of the budget. Overall, I think we held the line as best we could. No new borrowing in the budget, and we kept our reserves where we wanted them, which has always been a big problem with us.
Yeah, so it's to plan next year under all of the questions we have has to be very difficult because we do not have all the answers yet on how much more items are going to go up. You and I both do not see any way that prices are coming down with anything.
No, once they inched up, they're going to keep continuing to inch up. We tried to time some of this with our TIF 4 closing, which will put more on the tax rolls and dilute the calculation, which means our property taxes will be spread out over bigger numbers, and in essence, they'll come down. Unfortunately, that'll be next year rather than this year. So we expect things to improve next year, and this would be a one-year hiatus. But overall, I think that we're very fortunate to have that whole process come out in our favor. It's a positive TIF balance. And if we do close it early, then the school board, the county, LTC, and the city will get any excess funds pro rata distributed back to those taxing entities. Quite honestly, it's hard for me to say, gee, I don't want to return $200,000 to the school and $200,000 to the city. If we don't do it right, we'll end up paying $100,000. So this is a real time sensitive subject, and we're looking at some help with our advisors in order to do that. But we certainly look like we're going to close it for sure in September of '23.
All right, good, good. One thing that you had was an update from Bay Lake Regional Planning, and maybe you should explain to our audience what Bay Lake's Regional Planning is all about.
They're an outside contracting company, and they do this all over the Midwest. Basically, they come in with what aspects a city would like to happen in their community. What are they missing that they might want? Several years ago, when we did another study, and it was through Bay Lakes as well, one of the things that was in their long range, we just completed 2 years ago, and that was a downtown park along the river.
Right.
And that was in their original study. So they will now expand that, add to it what things that we've done, and then look at how our population is growing, how the community feels about the businesses that we have, and then quite frankly, what businesses don't we have that they would like to see.
Right. Now, back in August, you actually had a gathering, if you will, down at the
Emergency Operations Center, Fire Department.
Down at the Fire Department, where you had questions that anyone coming in could answer. You also were there to answer questions, or not to much answer the questions, but to hear what our community is saying.
We were trying to get the feel of the community, and we had specific questions of what kind of restaurant do you like? Well, quite honestly, they said we have the restaurants we want.
Okay.
But so there was a variety of questions, and what stores don't we have that you'd like to see? Well, one was the department store. We're not going to get a department store because we're not a big enough community to have them make that substantial investment. Now, with the timing of this and 23 coming to a conclusion next fall, and we're hoping it'll be in September, that additional traffic, which, by the way, we're already seeing, we've done 2 traffic counts.
Okay.
That will help us go out to and solicit different businesses that have already shown up in the first public meeting that citizens would like to see. So we're gathering that data in order to say to them, you know, we meet your criteria. What can we do to entice you to come into the city? And that's where our TIF districts, our revolving loan funds, and the opportunity that we can now assist these businesses. Because once we close TIF 4, we can open up a TIF 8. That gives us another leverage on the next step. So we're trying to gather that data in order to see what that next step is and what that mixture looks like.
But it is nice that you're asking this company working with you folks are asking our community members, people who live in Plymouth,
correct,
what we're missing, what they would like.
Yeah, what would they like, other than the fact that, you know, we'd like to move part of Madison here, which we can't do, but what are their key features that would add to their quality of life, their event entertainment, their social life? And that's a big thing because, of course, we're somewhat seasonal in nature, and at different times of the year you have different emphasis on things. So it's a big project. The contract, I think it ran the city about $35,000. A year in putting it together, this is what they do as a company, and we're really looking forward to a follow-up that'll probably be, I'm guessing in March or April, there'll be another public hearing we'll get the word out and advertise that through the city for people to show up, and we'll say, okay, here's what we have so far. Matter of fact, our next piece of this puzzle is going to be on transportation.
Yep.
And how do we increase our transportation opportunities within the city and then to get in and out of the city? And of course, 23 has already become part of that, and that was in the study from 10 years ago as well.
Actually, I was on 23 this last weekend, and there's only 6 miles left to go.
I know, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and you can go 65 until 6 miles to go.
Yep, and the big part, the most expensive part of that is, of course, the Fond du Lac segment.
Yep.
And it is really coming along. Like you say, if you've driven it lately, it's going to be amazing when that's finished, yeah.
I'm not saying that you save that much time, but the stress factor is so low now when you can have 4 lanes and you don't get caught behind somebody that is very slow or someone climbing up your back.
And the roads are no longer winding.
That's true.
Uphill and downhill.
Yeah.
They've really taken a lot of the curves and the hills out of it.
And
but the 4 lanes will be important.
And you truly believe that Plymouth will benefit and is already showing some benefit from this change of Highway 23.
We are. The inquiries are coming in. People are aware that this has been building for 10 years, 26 years
Yes.
actually. But knowing once it's scheduled that there's going to be a completion that's approaching, and we are getting inquiries from companies looking to see what their investment assistance can be. So we're calculating that we have to close TIF 4 before we can open up TIF 8. But we're really looking at another growth opportunity here. And of course, part of that is the housing market. And the city does own 67 acres down on Highway 67 on going south out of town. So we have a lot of opportunity that is right on the cusp of breaking loose. So we're trying to manage that as best possible. And the more traffic count we get, so I'm not telling people to go back and forth all the time, but it does help us. So we're looking at much better traffic counts, which give us much greater opportunity to attract businesses.
Yep. All right. Tell me, we're feeling good about being ready for the winter season here in Plymouth, Wisconsin.
Well, the short answer is our salt shed is full, so we're ready. Now, we don't want to necessarily use it, but we know we will. The new loader that we just ordered, unfortunately, that won't be here till May because they have a 6-month lead time. So we saved money, but we didn't get it in time. The good news is that we've been upgrading our equipment for the past 10, 12 years at a very aggressive rate, and that has definitely improved our capabilities to take care of the needs of this city, whether it's an emergency or a non-emergency. And we have a lot of employees that are now cross-trained doing different duties so that they can slide back and forth. That has helped us tremendously in qualified personnel. So we're looking at a great opportunity here to use that equipment, do it efficiently, and now not wreck it because our roads are better off as well. So there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle, but we used to wreck some plows every year because of the roadways, then they would get caught on the road. Those have been eliminated. Those were some of our priority fix-its. So we're in good shape, and we're actually looking forward to how well we come out of the winter season.
Good.
If there's such a way to say, let it snow, we're ready.
Now, let's talk about a sad item, and the sad item is that you do have an opening on city council, and it's, yes, it's a sad item.
It is. Alder Matzdorf was a great addition to the council in his first term, and I really was looking forward to him continuing to serve for a long time. He asked a lot of questions. He was very interested. He was always involved in things, and that's not that others didn't do it, but he did it more than anybody. And he was younger than a lot of the rest of them too.
Certainly, certainly.
But he was very interested, being born and raised in Plymouth, and he was a great addition to the council. And the replacement for him, he was up for election in April, which of course won't happen now, but his seat will be vacant and looking for someone to replace it. And we certainly hope that people take out nomination papers. December is when they can pick them up, and then they have to be filed the first Tuesday in January, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the timing isn't good, but we know we have people in town that are interested, and he set a good example of interest and work ethic on the council, and so he'll be hard to replace, but I know someone will be interested.
Okay. Now, another item that has kind of come off the table recently, mostly because of budget work, et cetera, but the Turner Hall project, if you will.
The rezoning on Turner has kind of sidestepped for a little while because of budget, you're right. And then our legal counsel for the city is working with their legal counsel on an agreement for land use, which is part of the rezoning process, to see what they can agree to or not agree to. And that's been going back and forth between legal counsels. And at this present time, it's on their plate, and we're waiting to see what they come back with us and what their ideas would be for trying to get that clarified and finally presented back to the council. I don't expect that in 2 weeks. I'm right now, because of Thanksgiving and Christmas,
Yeah.
I'm expecting it to come back up in January.
Okay.
Would be my best guess on that.
Okay. And so we'll wait till January or so to find out, to get a vote, actually, too.
Yeah, yeah.
You have you're a long ways from making this all end up, aren't we?
Correct, yeah. It's going to take a little bit of effort by staff and at this point, the legal counsel on both sides to work out some sort of legal arrangement that then will be binding on the property owners, so they have to agree to that. And this is kind of a standard procedure in rezoning process. So it's taken a little bit longer because of the budget and the holidays all combined.
Okay.
But it'll come back up in January, and then it'll be voted on.
Okay. Well, let's end things by talking about more happy times, and we're looking forward to the day after Thanksgiving. We've got the parade back.
Oh, it's the 2 years hiatus. Our Christmas parade is back. We love it. We want people to come out for it. We actually expect an overflow of floats and participants in it, and also, of course, spectators, because here it is. Everybody's chomping at the bits to be part of the Christmas parade, and we're going to have a little surprise this year that we won't tell people about yet.
I won't tell them either.
But certainly it's going to be a good Christmas parade, and we're hoping that people come out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And We might even be able to order up a little bit of snow to make it fun. And, we don't need the cold weather, we need the snow.
No. But I'm glad it's back, and so our downtown merchants will be open a bit later that night.
Yep,
and
starts at 7 o'clock.
And so, the parade is at 7. It's the Friday after Thanksgiving,
Yep.
as it has been for years until it was canceled.
And we're hoping to get over the 60 participant level. We've been up to 71 in the past, so we want to encourage a few more, but it certainly is the start of the real winter process in the city, and we look forward to it. You can see people getting ready already.
Now, and we may not have an Action 14 in December because we have all of the Christmas concerts. So I will take this moment to say have a happy holiday. And
Thank you.
If I don't see you sooner, I'll see you next year.
That sounds good, and to you and your listeners as well, thank you.
Yeah. When we come back, I want to thank you for being on.
You're welcome.
When we come back, I'm going to have some representatives from the school here to talk about all of the activities happening in what has happened in the last couple months and what we expect to happen in the next few. So stay right with us. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back to Action 14. I have with me now Dan Canales, Athletic Director of the Plymouth School District. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
I thought we should do a summary of the fall sports to start with, because it was number one, it was great to get everything back to some kind of normal, and then also we did very well.
Yeah, our fall athletic teams had great success on the court, on the field, in the pool. Out of our sports that we offer, we had 4 conference championships. I think that's out of 7 sports that we have, and our other ones finished well.
Now, there was a time when this conference actually gave an award for what?
It was called the ECC Cup, and it counted points for how many conference championships you won. You got points if you took second place, third place, and so on. And ever since the Eastern Central Conference was in existence, Plymouth has won the cup. Now, COVID last year, because teams did activities at different times of the year, they stopped keeping track of the points, and currently they are not keeping track of the points again this year with the uncertainty of things and Camelsport leaving the conference. It's just kind of something they stopped doing. But prior to that, yes, Plymouth had won it every year in existence.
And to have 4 championships already in the fall, it looks good, like you would have won it again.
Yeah, we would have had a huge lead, let's put it that way. Because even, for example, girls cross country was a conference champion, but boys cross country finished second place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get 10 points for first place, you get 8 for second, we would have had a monstrous lead.
Yes, we would have. Yes. And you had a great turnout of players and a great turnout of fans. I've been very pleased when I've gone to the different activities. Good crowds.
Yeah, we had lots of participation from student athletes, and because we allowed fans back this year, unlike last year where we had limited fans, it seemed like more people wanted to get back into the gym, into the pool, out to the football games to see it live because they missed it. Our attendance at our first volleyball game was unbelievable. It happened to be against Sheboygan Falls, but I think the 2 student sections were as big as student sections I've seen at basketball games. And then there were as many parents and grandparents there. It was kind of shocking to walk in and see it. It was like, oh boy, we weren't expecting this when we haven't seen it for 2 years. But
you may not have seen it at the homecoming, but the homecoming football game was just huge crowds.
Yeah, I saw during the national anthem, the line was still going up the pathway to get in for tickets, and it's great. I think people are just chomping at the bit to get back and see things live, and it just shows how important athletics and high school athletics are to a community and to a school.
Yeah. Well, let's go through a few of them. Let's start out. You already mentioned cross country had a great year.
Yep. Girls were first place in the conference. Boys were second. We had an individual girl qualify for the state tournament.
In fact, if we had not had a girl go down right at the end of the race, our whole team would have gone.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Somebody, just one of those things in running and cross country that happens. And yeah, she couldn't finish, and the team didn't get to go, but they they were right on the edge of going, and they
Yeah.
would have went if she would have finished. But
Yep.
it was nice to get one individual there, Hannah Downs, who was a freshman only, and she went to state and she finished really well. I don't know the exact number, but she was well up in the pack.
Oh, yes, it was very good.
And the boys cross country was second place in the conference,
Yeah.
and they finished middle of the pack at sectionals.
That was probably the surprise. I wasn't expecting them to bounce up to second place, and so they had a great race.
Yeah, they ran a great race that day. I think they were seeded fourth and finished second, so
Yeah,
outstanding job.
Yeah, now let's go to another sport. We know that volleyball was happening.
Volleyball finished kind of towards the middle to bottom of the conference. They were replacing all their players, new coaching staff, so a little turnover there. But overall, they finished 20-10 roughly, and had a successful season, played really well in tournaments. Our conference was just pretty good this year, and they won a regional game and then lost to our eventual conference champion, Kettle Moraine Lutheran, in the regional final.
Let's talk about another championship possibly, and that might be tennis.
Tennis was a conference champion, co-conference champion. They beat Sheboygan Falls, who ended up beating Kohler, and us and Kohler finished with one loss each, and we're co-champions. It's the first time the girls have won a conference tennis championship in a lot of years. Tennis is a different conference than our other sports, just because not all schools offer tennis. So we're in kind of a combined East Central Conference and Eastern Wisconsin Conference for tennis. But they were a conference champ, and I think we couldn't figure exactly because of the different coaches, but it's got to be at least 10 years since we've won a girls' tennis conference title.
Now, no conference placing or anything, but we had girls golf.
We had girls golf in their initial season. They played 7 events, and they got great experience. They were able to field a full team at every match they went to, and next year we will be eligible. We will not be in a conference yet because our conference does not have golf. They'll play an independent schedule, but they will be eligible to play in the WIA tournament next year.
And one thing was added to the middle school, which should help it, because I believe that last night at the school board meeting they approved an assistant golf coach.
There's a middle school golf program that's been in existence for over 5 years. It's co-ed. For the first couple of years, it was volunteers running it, and then a few years ago, they approved a head coach, and now they've approved a head coach and an assistant coach. So that's a good feeder program for both the boys and girls golf programs.
Yes, that's fantastic. Well, let's talk about another sport that did very well.
Boys soccer was a conference champion.
Yeah.
They went undefeated in the conference season, and they made it to the sectional, where they lost to the eventual state finalist, Green Bay Notre Dame, in the sectional semifinal in a really tight 1-0 game. So they had another successful, great season. That's a few conference championships in a row for them, and sectional appearances 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
So they've been doing a great job and have had huge success.
Let's talk swimming. Swimming was not at the top, but it's also a different conference.
Swimming is also in the Eastern Wisconsin Conference with Kohler, Sheboygan Falls, Chilton, Two Rivers, the schools that we used to be in prior to the East Central Conference. They finished in the middle of the pack. They had a diver qualify for state. Ella Josephs made it to state 4 years in a row for diving.
I think she took 11th.
She took 11th place. That just happened last Friday. So they had success as well in areas, but not quite the success that they've had in the past. And they're rebuilding and getting some younger girls out, and they'll grow from there.
And there's another sport I'm missing. What would that be?
Yeah, football.
Oh, maybe football, yeah.
Football went for a three-peat, won their third conference title in a row.
3 in a row, congratulations.
Yeah, 3 undefeated seasons in a row in the conference.
But this year, not only 3 undefeated seasons, but this year, your non-conference was also.
Yeah.
You went 10-0. When's the last time Plymouth was 10-0?
It has to be 1978, I'm guessing. Yeah.
I think so.
There was a year where we were 9-0 with an abbreviated season, but I think we figured out there were only 5 teams since 1970 that were 9-0 in the regular season.
Right.
And this team can be proud of that. And kind of ran into a buzzsaw in the second round against Pewaukee, but Pewaukee will be playing for a state championship on Friday.
Right. Now, for the first time, seeding in the different categories was done by a computer.
Yeah, and it sounds like all sports, all team sports that do a seeding will eventually be seeded by the computer. They put in strength of schedule, win-losses, opponent strength of schedule. I think it did a pretty good job. It takes out that human element that a Pewaukee would have gotten because they were dealing with some COVID issues at the beginning of the year, and that's why they lost a non-conference game.
Yep.
The computer doesn't know that.
Right.
Just counts it as a loss. So there's pros and cons to both. I was not upset that I didn't have to get up really early on a Saturday morning and drive an hour away to go to a in-person meeting, and the computer just did it. But you got to eventually win on the court or win on the floor anyhow. So it's the way it's going, and it's the way it'll be.
Yep, so you were 10-0, you lost to Pewaukee, but Pewaukee now is playing for the state championship.
Yep, it'll be Friday, November 19th, depending on when you watch this. But for us, it's 2 days from now, and I'll be in attendance watching that game, and I'll be rooting Pewaukee on because it probably looks a little better for us if they are the eventual state champion.
Yep, we're rooting for them. Yeah. Now, that completes the fall schedule, but let's talk about a piece of the fall schedule, because in the fall, you had very few students that were unable to play due to illness or COVID, if you will.
Yeah.
It was a good year.
Yeah, we're going to knock on the wood table here and say we were very successful in that regard. We had a few cases, but all those cases could be tracked back to exposures at home or not within a team. We had no positive case that turned into a second positive case that we could trace to being on a team or a sport. Right. So that was very positive, and moving forward, that's something that we look at, and that's the data we use and say, hey, we can do this successfully, we can do it safely. We know there's going to be kids are going to test positive just because they're outside sources, but we don't have any happening within a team, which is great.
And this year with attendance, last year for swimming, 0 fans could watch it live. This year the doors were open.
We hosted the sectional.
14
teams here.
14 teams.
And we allowed a normal set of fans in and had great attendance. And, people are just happy to be there. They love seeing it live. I mean, we did as much as we could to give it to them live stream last year, but it's not the same as being there live and listening to the action and hearing it and just being right there up close. And it was great. We do everything we can to be safe, but we also want to allow people the opportunity to be back and see their kids and grandkids play and swim.
Now, of course, now
winter sports.
It's winter sports time. All of the sports are now happening.
They all started this week, and we actually had our first competition last night. The girls basketball team kicked off our winter season with a home game against New Holstein.
Yeah, so it's all begun.
And it was the same situation I talked about with volleyball. I was expecting kind of a Tuesday night, non-conference game, smaller crowd. Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't that way. There was a big crowd there. New Holstein brought up halfway decent student section. We had a big student section, lots of parents, lots of grandparents. Again, we hadn't seen live basketball in a gym for 2 years.
Right.
So they missed it, and they wanted the first opportunity. They showed up last night, which was great.
So get on your calendars, find out when all of the different sports are happening, and be part of what's happening here in Plymouth, because a town the size of Plymouth really does support athletics.
Yeah, it's outstanding how our community supports athletics. Even people who don't have children involved anymore, who had children prior to, or just business owners or community members, they just love to come to the games. There's those fans that I see at every game.
Yep, me too.
That are diehards. It might be a girls basketball fan, it might be a wrestling fan. They're just there and they love it. And this community does a great job of supporting Plymouth High School and its athletics, and we hope that continues for a long time.
Yes, so I want to thank you for being on. I want to thank all of our fans for coming to the fall sports. Now make plans to come to all of the winter sports, and let's have some fun this winter, okay? Thank you again.
Yep, thanks, Mike.
When we come back, I'll have Dan Mella, superintendent, sitting next to me in the hot seat, and we'll give him some tough questions, okay? Stay right with us. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back to Action 14. As promised, I have Superintendent Dan Mella visiting with us, and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike.
We had our November school board meeting last night, and there were a lot of different items to talk about, but I think that when we finally wrap things up here, there's a lot of positive things happening in the Plymouth School District.
Yep, there are.
First thing, though, is positive is that we had the FFA teacher here and talking about some great things that are happening with the FFA.
Yep. Tracy Heinbuck was here. She's the teacher that you're referring to. And she just returned about a week or two ago from the National FFA Convention, which is held every year in Indianapolis. And again, we had a team representing the state of Wisconsin at the national event. And that team was in meat judging, and they also had some other like quality or production types of things that they were responsible for. And they kind of do it as a team. They represent that category for the entire state of Wisconsin. And so that team, basically, you could consider them kind of state champions out of Wisconsin. And so then they went to the national event, and they took a bronze in the national event. So that's a really
third
high honor.
In the nation.
Right. I'd take that. Right?
You're right.
Right. So it seems like almost every year in one category or another, our FFA kids make it to nationals. Our horse team, I know, has been good over the years.
Right.
And so they do really well. And our FFA volunteers from the community and our teachers and the kids always do very well. And they dedicate a lot of time to that activity. So, yeah, it's really, it's always a big plus. I think I mentioned last night that, part of our program here is that we're comprehensive in nature. We have agriculture, we have horticulture, we have tech ed, we have food science, and just a big shout out and thank you to the community again, because that food science and ag center that we have makes all the world of difference in just signifying that this stuff is important to the community. And I know you personally have people in your life that are food scientists. And,
absolutely.
And so we've got kids taking third in the country because of our teachers and our families and our volunteers and our facilities. So just a big shout out to the community about that too.
It is the idea of comprehensive. We touch everything.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Right. If there's an interest that you have, and maybe a career pathway that you're interested, or it can be a hobby. Here at Plymouth, you're going to have the opportunity to try those things out. And it doesn't just mean in the high school either.
Right.
Kids, 4-H starts when they're little.
Right.
And we have the fair right here in town. And, all of those things kind of lead to different opportunities for kids, and it's just great.
Certainly. Now, I know you had a legislative update that, is important.
Yeah, every month we meet with our legislators. By we, I mean the Sheboygan County superintendents, and then also there are sometimes business managers that are part of that, and sometimes even school board members come to those meetings. And the legislature, people float bills all the time. And so then one of the nice things is that we meet and we get a chance to express our opinions about bills that affect education or the students long term. And so, again, this go around, we just made a point to advocate that local control of school boards, which is a long-standing, important feature of our school system and our communities and our just the way we go about everything in our governmental systems here, and so we got a chance to advocate for local control. There was a bill that was being floated out there that talked about mandating a certain test for kids that are 4K and kindergarten as a reading screener, like where are they? But it went beyond that, because we all are required to do that already. It went beyond that, and it said if they're placed at a certain level, you are going to be prescribed to use this certain set of materials with that kid. And so we don't think that's the business of the legislature. We think that's the business of school boards. the teachers and the DLT, the leadership teams ask and present materials to the school board, and the school board says yes or no, and that's where it should stay. It should stay locally, because that's what the people elect the school board members to do. And so we advocated, we stated our case. This bill most likely won't make it into a voting realm, but we kind of picked those bills out just to say, this is the kind of thing that, you know, we're always kind of looking for, that we want to make sure that our school boards still have control over those important decisions that the community holds dear.
Right. Because, and over the years, we've had a fantastic school board who cares, listens, studies, and we want that to continue.
Right. They need to have, if you're going to put that much time into something, you want to feel like you have the say and the authority that you think you do. And every time that a new piece of legislation chips away at that, it kind of makes it less appealing to somebody who, why would I run for this? And you deal with all the different types of political things that you have to deal with, but you want to try to work to improve the school district, so you need some authority to be able to do that. So that's what we're advocating for.
Now, one of the positive things is things are coming back, because we're talking Disney World. Plymouth has gone
happiest place on earth.
The Plymouth Band has gone to Disney World 12 times, once every other year for the last 24 years. And last night they approved we're going to do it again. Disney's open, we're going to try it again.
Yeah, they're back open, and I think you've chaperoned that trip a number of times, correct?
Yes.
You've taken the bus ride?
24 hours each way. Yes, I have.
Yeah. So, we have, our buildings are opening up. We've got hall walkers. We've got we've got classes going on for adult swim and all those kinds of things going on. And this is just another indicator, even though our COVID numbers in the county are kind of escalating a little bit. That's we're doing our best to try to have some activities and do it in a way that's responsible. And so, yeah, we're excited that they get a chance to go back down to Disney.
Yep, Cody Wisman is the new band director that will be the head of it, taking over from Jason Sobronic, who went 12 times. And so Cody's first time without Jason.
Yeah, well,
and
they're exciting for him.
Yeah, the dates on it are they're leaving after school on April 11th and returning back into Plymouth High School in the evening of April 17th. So in the past several years, the band has gone in the fall. Now they're going to go in the spring. Understand, everybody, we have rules in the Plymouth School District. They can only miss 3 days of school. So that's why you have to pick the dates when there are activities going on, so that you only miss 3 days of school.
Right, and there's a whole school policy about that. And yeah, we don't want kids missing a ton of school. That's why some of those larger language-based trips they're done in the summer now, because they can take about 10 to 14 days sometimes, and they get a chance to stay with a family in a home. They get a full, more immersive experience in the language. And so that policy has kept kids in school, but it's moved a couple of those trips into the summer.
But I do want to mention for the band that it is a tremendous experience for these band members, because they are playing in an area that hires the most entertainers of any place in the world. And the fan base also, the first time they will play and march, tens of thousands of people will be watching. And it is a great experience for these, to be in the band and find all of that happening.
Yeah, as you're saying it, I've been thinking about that. It's the biggest crowd. It's bigger than our parades in town, is it not?
Oh goodness, it's going to be 50 times bigger than the parade of fans watching. Plus, understand that Disney World hires the most band members of any place in the world. And so you're playing in a place that supports music.
Yeah. I suppose, and some of them get a chance to, if they go that route, they can do those cruise ship summer jobs as a musician and all those types of things. Yeah.
Yep, it leads you to believe that there might be a future also in band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, one of the items that I thought was excellent about what's happening in Plymouth was the state report card that you spoke about at the end of the meeting.
Yep.
Give me some information to our audience on that.
Sure. Part of the accountability process in the state of Wisconsin is that kids take exams from grades 3 through 12 every single year, mostly in the subject areas of math and reading, but there are some other little bits in there sprinkled like writing as well. The state takes those numbers at every different level, breaks them out by things like socioeconomic status, economic disadvantage, race, a number of different things, and it feeds that back into a hugely complex formula to come up with a rating for the school. So this year our rating is exceeds expectations, kind of square in the middle of that category. The only one that's above that is significantly exceeds. And we've had about a 10-year trend now of incrementally, it's not been up every year, but over the last 10 years, the graph line is going up into the positive on those assessments. Now, these assessments aren't the end-all and be-all. We're comprehensive, and so things like band, things like art, things like drama, those aren't included in here. And we still we make a conscious effort to make sure we're investing in those areas as well, and not just whole hog going into just pounding away on reading and math, but it is important.
Yeah, these are mostly the 3 R's.
Yep.
Yep.
And so it's important for people to know that what I was most proud about with this report card is there's a few different factors. There's achievement, targeted growth outcomes, and on track to graduation. But the one that I always focus on is growth. So that means there's a formula that shows where a student has been over the time that they've been taking these exams and where they ought to be based on that formula graph line. And in this district, we move kids a farther distance. So they might be coming in here, and we move them to here. We move them a further distance in a year's time than other districts, and therefore our number for growth is a really high number. And so that just shows that in a year like last, where we had kids out because of COVID, we had the gap caused when we were completely shut down 2 years ago, April till the end of the school year, and we were doing the online stuff, and the amount of learning that teachers and the community and the kids did in that summer to get ready for last year's COVID year, and then to implement that and all the materials and everything else to make it happen was really fantastic. You'll see, if you look at state report cards for other locations in the state, in the county, that there are quite a few places that took a dip. We did not. We actually continued to grow and actually improved a little bit. So I'm just really proud of that, because when we came in at the beginning of last year, we had some gaps.
Yes.
We still have gaps. We still definitely have things to work on. We want all our kids to achieve at a higher level. But in aggregate, in total, we have the kids and the community pulled together and worked with us to achieve at a really high level, and we grew a lot last year. So, if you're a coach and you get a kid that comes in and you were a wrestling coach and they don't know how to do a single leg, and you get them by the end of the year that they can just about they might not win every match, but they can get takedowns on good kids, you're thinking, that is a year's worth of growth right there.
That is, yep.
And so that's the kind of attitude that we take and the things that we're most proud of.
Well, good. I'm glad that we suspected that Plymouth did very well during this difficult time. And the state report card confirms it.
Right. It's nice to get some verification.
Yeah. Now, before we wrap up, you need to talk about some other great things that happened. We had the Shakespeare play.
Oh, yes.
Was fantastic.
Yeah, we had the Shakespeare play, A Midsummer's Night's Dream. Too many S's in there. And it was very well attended. And our director, Jack Colombo, had a nice note to the board and This was his first go around with our students in this facility, and he's got a theater background, and he was just thoroughly impressed with our kids' previous understanding of how to put a production together, the speed that they picked up and got everything going. I think it was a total of 7.5 weeks. That's all he had to get ready, and he was just really impressed with how the kids already were set. You think about things. We do a play every year in summer school. Kids, we have community groups that put on shows all the time. And so there's a wealth of artistic performance activities that kids can get some feelers in and see if they like that kind of stuff. So I think he was happy that we have kids that are have a little bit of background already, and he was really pleased with how the performance came off. And if anybody saw it out there, it was a really good show.
And for a new teacher to come into a new school and have such a successful first event, he has to be very pleased.
Right, and the one-act play.
Yes, the one-act play.
That's progressed on and going to the state level competition.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's been run by the great Herb Stoltenberg for all these years, and now we got a transition, but we're still doing well, so that's really great.
It is. We had a lot of positive things that are still happening in the Plymouth School District. I just had Dan Canals talking about athletics, but we have so many positive things happening that
Yes, we do.
I'm looking forward to the winter.
Yes. Well,
Part of the winter, except blowing snow.
No, yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, certainly, I want to thank you for being on. I want to tell everybody that the school board meetings are the third Tuesday of every month, 5:30 p.m., right here in the Plymouth High School Amphitheater. Be part of what's happening in the school district and find out how we can benefit you and your family. Thank you again.
Yep, thank you for having me.
And I want to thank everyone for watching. We'll be right back. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back to Action 14. Now let's talk the arts. Donna Hahn, welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
It's been a great year when you think about the idea. We fought our way through all of the problems, and now we're getting back to being able to do shows again.
We are. We have a beautiful show coming up.
Yeah, you have one, let's talk December, the first week of December. You have some activities going on.
The first weekend in December, we have our holiday membership show that really opens on the 26th of November, but the party is on December 3rd. So it's a Friday night from 4:30 to 7:30. We have live music by Mary Fellons and Elizabeth Daniels, and they're going to serenade us through the evening, and we're going to have our awards ceremony at 6:30. And, it's just going to be a really festive evening of, free appetizers, desserts.
That's Friday the 3rd of December?
Yes.
And then the show display will go on how long?
It'll go through January 14th, 2022. So you'll have plenty of time to see the show. We are open 6 days a week.
Right.
So you'll have lots of opportunity to stop in and see the show if you can't make it on the 3rd.
And when you stop in, this is the perfect time of year to stop in and see if there's any gifts that you might want to purchase for family members and friends. You have so many neat things down there.
Well, we have a great gift shop, but we also have many of the pieces in the art show will be for sale as well. And you'll be able to actually take them with you if you like. Normally, we have to have the pieces stay in the show until the end of the show, but for this special show, once a year, we allow the patrons to take the artwork out, and then the artist can bring us another piece.
Right, and so that could be, you can wrap it up for a Christmas present, you see. That's where I'm going, is that check out the gift shop, and then also check out if there's something on the wall or on a shelf that might fit your budget.
And we also have gift memberships. I know there are some people on my list that are really difficult to buy for because they have everything they need. But a gift membership to the Plymouth Arts Center would be a perfect gift.
That is correct. You're always looking for membership, and a Plymouth Arts Center membership will get you a few dollars off of this, a free entrance to this. There is benefits throughout the year.
Yes, and our members always receive an advance notice of the events that are coming up, so you'll get a postcard in the mail or a special email or a newsletter.
Yep.
And that will notify you of, get your tickets first.
Yep. So you've got activities happening on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of December.
3rd, 4th, and 5th.
3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then we're actually creeping our way to New Year's Eve, aren't we?
Yes. Well, right after our big concert, The Colors of Christmas, we do have a few tickets left for the Sunday show.
Yep.
Saturday night is completely sold out. So if you want to get a ticket, call now.
That's right.
And then we are getting ready for the big New Year's Eve splash.
Well, let's talk about the New Year's Eve splash, because that has been nationwide.
Yes.
We made national news with the cheese drop.
Yes.
And so it is a very special evening on New Year's in Plymouth.
You're going to only see it in Plymouth.
That's right.
And this is our 15th year, believe it or not.
Yep.
And it's sponsored by the Sartori Company, and it is a Sartori cheese wedge that is dropped at 10 o'clock.
Yes, at 10 p.m.
Yes.
because they care about me, a guy who can't stay up till midnight anymore. So why don't we just do it at 10 o'clock? And that has worked out well.
Yes. It's a family-friendly event. So prior to the big cheese drop, you can stand around the bonfire, have a cup of hot chocolate and wait, or you can come inside, and we're going to have about, I think, 3 bands playing, and one of them is the Honey Goats.
Right, and so you can see a local band, plus a couple friends coming to do a couple other bands that we'll mention at another time, but to have music inside, warm up, come back out, come back in. Yeah.
And the Sartori Company is going to provide us with tasting cheese, so you'll be able to taste some of their delicious cheeses.
Yes, yes.
And there'll be cash bar. And then, the free hot chocolate outside. And then the first 250 families that arrive will get a free cheese gift bag.
So 250 people arrive in downtown Plymouth. I hope you run out.
We always run out.
Is that right? Good.
Yeah.
So it starts at the cheese drop is at 10 o'clock, but you really start things up at what time?
About 8:30.
Yeah, and so you go down there 8:30, 9 o'clock, and bring the whole family, because it is family friendly. There'll be hot chocolate for the kids as well.
And bring your noisemakers and your party hats.
That's right.
And if you can stay till midnight, we're going to have a champagne toast at midnight and ring in the new year properly.
Yes, and so the Honey Goats will be one of the bands there, so make sure you mark it on your calendar now that on New Year's Eve, we're going downtown Plymouth.
Right. And, you come downtown and have dinner, because a lot of the restaurants will be open.
Certainly.
And, you'll want to get your pizza or your steak and then come on over to the Arts Center.
Right. Now, the Arts Center has been with us now how many years? Help me out. 20?
We are in our 28th membership year. Yes.
Yeah. We still remember when it was a used cars place downtown.
Right.
And now it's been renovated twice. It is just beautiful. And I still know people that have never been to the Arts Center.
I know.
And I go,
Me too.
in Plymouth, Wisconsin, we have an Arts Center that is by far one of the best around.
Well, we've had several artists that have come to us from Green Bay or Oshkosh, and they say, your art center is fantastic. We don't even have anything of this caliber in our community. So we're pretty proud of that.
I want to mention before we go, though, that sign up now for an item coming up, and actually we're talking already in March 1st.
Yes.
But we want to sign up for this one early because it's basket making.
It is a basket making class by Pat Cruz, and it's actually a special type of basket. It's an Ojibwe birch bark basket making, and it's going to be a free class. We're also going to stream it so that some of the residents of Rocky Knoll can also participate and learn how to do this. We're presenting it on March 1st. We're not sure of the time yet. We have to check with the artist. But we are going to be offering that free because we did receive a grant to present this particular workshop.
And the reason I'm bringing it up now, we're bringing it up now, is because it will fill up.
It will.
It will fill. And so if you really want to be part of this, sign up now.
Yes.
And so, and by sign up now, yes, you can call in, but stop down at the Arts Center.
Yes,
See what
absolutely.
they have to offer. There's classes going on all the time.
Lori Beringer is there twice a
Yep.
week, and we always have openings for more students.
Yes, and so it's always something happening at the Arts Center.
Yes, and we have a full year coming up. In March, also, we're going to be doing a special Celtic. It'll be a St. Patrick's Day
Oh,
celebration.
certainly. Yeah.
So our Celtic group is going to present a concert in March around, I think it's March 12th, 13th, and
Yeah.
it's going to run for 5 shows.
Sure.
So we'll start
You
selling
already-
tickets for that soon.
You're already getting ready, aren't
Yes.
you? Yes, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And, we have our schedule, and if you want to stop down and pick up a copy of it, and we'll be having it on our website
Yep.
and on our Facebook page as well.
Yep, PlymouthArts.org. The website that you can go to, PlymouthArts.org, and that will give you information about what's available, what's coming up, and then stop on in.
And,
Yes.
and if you'd like to volunteer for us, we're always looking for new
That's true.
volunteers as well.
That's true. And it is the best downtown Plymouth you can have.
I think so.
Yes, it is. I want to thank you so much for being on. I wish you the best of luck. Sign up now. Make plans now for December 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Also make plans now to the cheese drop for New Year's Eve, and sign up for some of the classes and activities.
And on behalf of the Plymouth Arts Center, we would like to wish everyone a happy holiday season.
Absolutely.
And it's been a difficult year, but we got through it, and we're looking forward to an even better
That's right.
2022.
We're winning.
I
We're
hope
winning.
so.
Yes, we are. Thank you again, Donna.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for watching. Until I come back to you next time, maybe next year even, I'll be seeing you on the radio. Bye-bye.